Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We have already had a couple of podcasts on becoming a product manager. So I'm trying to bring in people who have broken into product management roles via different backgrounds. And today is very interesting because Kushal had dropped out from college and currently is working as a product manager at Zo World. And today we'll be interacting with him. Thanks a lot, Kushal, for coming here. And yeah, we can take it forward. So if you can give a quick intro to your audience about yourself.
Thanks, Manoj. I currently work as a product manager at Zostel and Zo World. Zo World is the parent company of Zostel, and they are venturing into the Web3 space. I dropped out after my first year of college in 2019. I wanted to become a developer, and I wasn't really learning much at college about becoming a developer. So I decided to drop out and spend my time in doing internships. So the next 2 years, I had interned at multiple companies as a backend developer. But that's when I started realizing that even though I like coding, at the core I like problem solving, and coding wasn't really letting me do it on a bigger picture level. I wanted to be involved in decision making as well. So that's when I came across product management on a careers page of a company, and I was wondering what it is. So I searched about it a bit, and it seemed interesting. So when I asked my mentor whether product management would be right for me, so based on my skill set, my mentor suggested that it would be a good choice for me, and suggested to give it a shot. So that's when I joined Upraised, the product management program at Upraised, and eventually transitioned into a product management role. Upraised is
Cool.
the previous company that I worked at.
Got it. And just like first question, right? Generally, everyone has a very different definition of product management, right? Uh, so what is product management according to you?
So I see that there are two essential sides to product management. One is internal and one is external. So externally, at the core, product manager's role is to identify users' problems and then translate it into uh, identify the problems and then think about solutions for those problems and translate them into your product features or your product, which is the app. So it's essentially solving users problems through your product. But internally, while working with your team, product management involves a lot of stakeholder management. So as a product manager, you're between the design, engineering, and the business team. You need to figure out the goals and figure out what features you want to build based on your work with the business team. And then once you figure that out, you need to coordinate with the design team to get it actually visualized, converted into a design that can be developed. And once that is done, you work with the developers, you coordinate with them, and make sure that the development process is happening smoothly, and you get the product or the feature out. So yeah, essentially these are the two sides that I think create product management.
Correct. The next question I had is how did you discover product management, right? You told that you discovered from a career space, but like let's say we can deep dive into that. And also a common problem I see is okay, once I discover product management, how do I validate? Okay, is it the right thing for me, right? That's more of a bigger problem. Many people either discover it and see yaar ye karte hain, and once they are in, they don't like it because they didn't validate it or they didn't do good research before jumping into the career, right? So these two things. Yeah.
It was very random for me. So I was just going through the careers page of a website, of a company's website, and I just saw this term product management over there, and it was the first time that I came across it. So at that point, I was in the zone where I wanted to figure out what else can I do apart from like coding, and this was something new to me. So I started read Google. I googled a bit about it. I started reading out what product management is, and it sounded like something like an entrepreneur's role, like you're building something, you're figuring out your customers' problems, thinking about solutions, and actually getting them built. And I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like in the future, I want to start something of my own. And I felt this sort of fits perfectly in between this kind of role. And about the question that how can people figure out if this is the right path that they should try out or not. There are few skills that are core to a product manager, and if you naturally have these skills, then the role might work out well for you. One is analytical skills. So basically, if you are shown data, it could be numerical, any kind of data, you're actually able to, your mind naturally works towards analyzing that data and coming up with insights. So that is one skill that that is really good to have. Another skill is people skills. More than half of your role, or maybe half of your role, involves talking to people, managing your stakeholders, which is designers, engineers, people in the business team. People skills is a very essential is very essential to a product manager. So if you think that you're good at people skills, you're good at talking to them, coordinating with them, then that's a plus point. And apart from that, you need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. So basically, you need to take initiatives, you need to see things through, you need to put in that extra effort to make sure that whatever work you've started, or whatever thing you're working on, you're actually able to execute it till the end. Because at the end, these three skills are something that you could see in yourself, then I say you should go ahead and give a shot to product management. And also, there should be some sort of leaning towards products or tech or business that you need to have in your mindset. Otherwise, you might feel a bit out of place.
Got it.
Yes.
Makes sense. And just curious about, you told, right, you took a appraised course. So when you were taking the appraised course, so generally in at least today, right, at least 2021, 2022, there's been lot of new courses or new paid courses, cohort-based courses which have come, especially in product management, right? Because of, let's say, a trend or a boom,
Yes.
or many people are trying to transition from other roles, or even freshers are want to start their career as a APM or a product analyst, right? So my question is like, how did you choose Upraised, right? Like, did you had any other options, or what was your reason behind choosing Upraised? And then deep diving on how does the Upraised course helped you to become a product manager?
So for me specifically, I didn't really spend much time on researching different courses. So luckily, the person I reached out to, my mentor, whom I asked whether I should switch or try to get into product management or not. He already knew about Upraised, and after I spoke with him, he directly suggested me Upraised's program. And since I trust him, I decided to go ahead on his word with this. But like before taking the decision, I did like go through their whole programs, how their program works, what has been the history, and that convinced me to take the decision. uh, Appraised has been one of the early people who got into the product management edtech space, and they've been doing it for more than 3 years now. So, compared to most of the programs out there, the differentiating factor for Appraised is it's an outcome focused program. That is more than not only they want you to learn about product management, but rather their goal is to get you placed as a product manager. So they make sure that whatever is needed to get there, let it be getting strong with the fundamentals and all the skills needed for product management, and making sure that you're practicing enough interviews before your actual real interviews, and you're getting interview practice with product managers who are currently working at really good companies. And apart from that, like they also provide personal mentorship is something that is very important if it's a very new field, because you might get confused if you're looking for answers online. So if you have someone who's been there, done that, getting mentored by them directly is like a great opportunity to have. So these were the few factors that made it stand out for me and made it easy decision for me to join Upraised.
So just to summarize, like what you told on Appraised, right? So Appraised has
Yeah,
more of outcome focused learning, and they have a very structured thing as they were the early people in the PM ed tech space, right? And mentorship is very core for Appraised, right?
yeah.
And they also provide personalized mentorship to help you crack the role. And like, can you throw some light on how does Appraised help, like in terms of any projects do you do in a course, or let's say portfolio related to portfolio like product case studies and especially interview preparation, right? Because learning product management is one thing, but cracking the interview is more tougher because you don't know what kind of questions come, right? It's very unpredictable, and the rounds also keep changing according to companies. So how does Appraised has helped in these two parts, right? One is preparing product case studies and two is interview preparation.
Okay. So throughout the program duration, you work on multiple product case studies. But at the end, in your portfolio, you will be creating two PRDs that you will be adding to your portfolio. So the thing is, today everyone is making PRDs. It's very easy to make PRDs. You can find information online, work on problems. When just sending PRDs to a profile to a recruiter, it doesn't really stand make your profile stand out. But they are still essential for you to like get a hang of what kind of work you might have to do. So what we do is while you're working on PRDs, so every user of the program has a mentor assigned to them, which is their personal mentor. So even when the user is working on creating their PRDs, they keep having these feedback sessions with that person. So these people are senior product managers from different companies. So while you're working on your PRDs, from the step where you identify a problem that you want to work on till the step that you finish the PRD, there'll be 10 to 12 feedback sessions throughout this duration where the PM would keep nudging you on how you can make it better and how to go ahead with it. So that makes sure that the quality of your PRDs is really good. So Appraise has put in a whole system to keep a standardized check on the quality. So now coming to the interview practice part. So they have two kinds of interviews. One is peer to peer, that is, you do interviews within your cohort members itself, where you take the role of interviewer and interview both. And so you do like 15 to 20 of these, and you do 4 to 5 interviews, mock interviews with actual senior product managers. So these mock interviews give you a good granular feedback about how you did, and that actually helps a lot because these people interview in the way that they would interview someone for their own company, and the feedback that they give is made sure that it's structured in a constructive manner. So these two combined make your chances of getting moving forward at any company in the interview process is higher.
I think the next question I have is like, what, according to you, is the top five skills that a product manager should have?
If combining hard skills and soft skills both, uh, data analytics is something that is really good to have for a product manager. And apart from that, these are soft skills. So one of the soft skills is structured thinking. So which is like even though it might be overused sometimes, but it is very important. So structured thinking basically means the ability to break down a problem into its core, so that you're understanding it from the first principles, and then you're figuring out the solution, the journey to the solution. That is one. And then problem first approach. So this is not again not a specific skill per se, but this is a mindset change that you need to bring. So whenever you're looking at an issue or even an idea, you're not thinking from the solution perspective, rather you're thinking from the problem perspective, keeping your mind open and then working on solutions. Then apart from this, technical skill wise, one really good skill to have which helps you maintain good relations with your design team is knowing how to create wireframes or user flows. So I've seen a very good impact of this in my work at Zo World as well. So so the UX designer, the product designer works on the design of the product. But if you're just giving them a documentation and leaving it completely up to them in terms of how the design needs to exist and flow and all of that, so that becomes a very difficult task for the product designer to do it on their own, and then it might not meet your expectations. So if you're able to take it one step ahead and actually create some basic wireframes for whatever the product you're working on, that makes the design process easier for the designer, and as well expectations are met in terms of between the designer and product manager. And communication skills, so you need to be quite good at communication. It could be verbal, it could be written. You need to understand people really well. uh, User psychology is something that you need to be well versed with. So yeah, overall these I guess comprise of the top skills that I think a product manager should have.
Got it. Agree. I think the main thing you told, right? The first principle thinking, because and structured thinking, that's very important, right? Because always product managers work on ambiguous problem. There's a no like, is it a problem really or not? You need to
Hmm.
validate. So that's a very important skill. Got it. And also the wireframe part, right? When you give it so that it's easy for designer to replicate the low-fi to quickly a hi-fi one. Understood. Got it. And
Yeah.
the next question I had is like you would have attended PM interview rounds, right, in different companies. So what are the general interview rounds in a product manager for a product manager role?
So I haven't actually gone through the whole process of interviewing for a product manager's role. So for Appraised, it happened to me. Okay, yeah, in Appraised, there were two rounds for me to get into Appraised. So the first round was basically a case study, business case study that I needed to solve. So Appraised was doing a so yeah, I was given a case study about a problem that was going on, a problem that Appraise was trying to solve, and I had to like create a whole plan to productize a large operation that they had in the placement side. So they had a program where they needed to place 300 interns. So my problem statement was, how do I create a system for placement for these people, where companies come in, interview these users, and then hire them. So that was my problem. And next one was, I guess, maybe sort of a cultural fit round that I had, where I had a interview with the CEO, where the conversation wasn't more about work but about my personal self, and I could ask questions about Appraised. So those were the two rounds that I had to do before I got into Appraised. And in Zo World, luckily, I didn't even have to go through that. So here, I was already a member of the club that Zo World is running, and I knew the core team members. So when I approached the CEO about an opportunity at Zo World, it was more of a conversation rather than an interview that it took for me to get in. But in general, in general, in most cases, when you're applying for a product manager's role, initial screening round is done by the HR, so they get a good idea about your background, and then first round is usually involves solving product case studies. So it happens with a product manager, and once you get through that, if the company is a bit larger, you have an interview with a senior product manager or director of product manager, whatever role comes into picture over there. So there, they go deeper into the fundamentals of product manager. They give you problem statements from the company. They put you in situations, how you will react over there, or how you will solve the problem. And finally, cultural fit round is a common round across most companies, where even though you're skill wise you're all good, but they need to see if you fit the culture or not, because in startups, culture, fitting into the culture of the company is really important for you to like sustain over there. So yeah, these are the most common rounds, but for me the story was a bit different.
Got it. I think from your story, I understand the importance of networking, right? It's very important to have a
Yes.
good network, like people from whom you know, right? And you approach the CEO directly, and then you got a chance to have a conversation, and now you are inside Zoval. So that's really interesting. And one more, like, quick question that is more related to your journey, right? Like, Zo World is a Web3 product, more of problems related to
Yep.
decentralization Web3, right? So, do you see any specific difference in, let's say, product management in Web2 versus Web3, right? Because previously you were at Upraised, which is a Web2 company, and currently you are at Zo World, which is a Web3
Yeah.
company, right? Do you see any specific difference in product management in Web2 versus Web3 companies?
One major difference that happens between these two companies is the philosophy. So Web3, beyond the technology, Web3 is also a different philosophy, in a way that decentralization is at the core of it. How can you make your product trustless? That you try to remove the factor of a user to need to trust the company to do any interaction with the company. These are like few nuances
Mm,
that happen in Web3 companies, and also uh, things work quite different in the Web3 space if you go deeper into it. For example, when you're in, even if you're working for the product features, so let's say logging into the product. So if you're talking about a Web2 company, it's very simple. You either log in from phone number or email ID. But here there are again you can sign in through your crypto wallet, but then you figure out how do you make the decision between having a Web3 wallet sign in versus a phone or email sign in. These are the small uh, nuances that you need to keep checking along the way, which is different from uh, traditional apps. But over essentially, major part of it is not very different, because at the end, it's a different kind of customer, it's a different kind of product. But at the end, you are discovering the problems that your customer face and how your product can solve them. So in the technical aspects, it's a bit different. Philosophical wise, it's a bit different because the products in Web3 function differently. People who are using them think differently. People who are creating them think differently. But I'd say 75%, 70 to 75% is the same.
I think, yeah, the onboarding and all happens via MetaMask, and also you need to make sure the
Hmm.
experience is also maintained. Understood.
Yeah. If
And
you're a
the
mass
next,
product for
hmm,
masses,
hmm,
Yeah, if you're a product for masses, you figure out a way to make this completely easy. If you're a niche product, you make sure you're completely secured, you're following all the norms rightly. So that is something you learn from experience. I am very new to Web3, so I'm learning these things day by day.
got it. And I think in Web3 there are also different chains and ecosystems, right? Like layer two different chains.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're building for a particular user segment, then you need to use the wallet or the onboarding that's followed in that ecosystem or something like that. Not sure. Even I'm not
Yes.
also a pro, but I've just uh, participated in some DAOs. Got it. So the next question I have is, how does your day look like as a product manager, right? What do you do?
Yeah. So I work directly with three sets of people, or uh, mostly like three or five, 4 to 5 people. So one is the CEO's office. So I spend my time with people in the CEO's office in for discussing problems. So we have problems to discuss in uh, the property that we are running, house operations wise. There are different issues that we discuss on. We discuss on big picture issues about the vision where we want to take the company. So I spend 1/5 of the day in these kind of conversations, and then like making notes out of them, thinking about the action items. Then from the rest of the time, half of the time of mine goes into documentation. So we are a small team, not a very big team, and we work remotely. So we try to make sure that we are working asynchronously. So most of the things we try to send it via messages, or try to send it in a document, so that there's less dependency of me waiting to get on a call with someone to take a problem ahead. So yeah, half of the time in the remaining time goes in documenting stuff, and the rest of the time goes with coordinating with the design team and the tech team. So simultaneously, design team is working on the next product features that we want to build, and tech team is working on developing the feature that was just designed by the design team. And yeah, I luckily live at Zo House, which is Zo World's property in Bangalore, and I get to meet our users every day. So the members of the club are our users, and they keep coming every day. So I get to meet my users directly. I keep having conversations and getting user feedback from them from face to face. So that is a good benefit for me. So my time involves I spend time in also having these conversations with people.
Cool. Yeah, I think that adds a very good value, right? Because you'll also be able to see them, like observe what users are doing at
Yeah,
the house. Got it. And the next
exactly.
question I had is like when apart from Upraised, right? What are the other resources that you use to learn product management? Any YouTube videos or any blogs or any particular people you follow?
Uh, So basically, since Appraised is at the core businesses helping people transition into product management, there were tons of resources already collated by the team for the students itself. So I had access to all of those resources. So it involved videos from different product managers, blogs from different product managers that I used to spend my time going through. So I can't recall the names because there are like a lot of different things that I consume content from. But the most common medium of me consuming content was blogs only. So you will end up finding blogs about every different kind of feature or every different kind of industry that you're working on. People, product managers going into a lot of depth to understand the user. So uh, always like blogs used to help me get that head start in any problem that I used to work on. So it could be user onboarding that you're working on in the product. It could be user engagement or just delight features. Uh, or it could be core problem solving for like businesses. So it is highly likely that you might not have a good idea in any new feature that you're working on, and you will end up spending time asking questions or to learn more about processes. So for every almost every problem that you are working on, you'll find a blog that has given information about something similar to it. So that used to be my go-to source. But again, the whole team at Appraise, they were quite helpful, and they were quite experienced in like helping people, mentoring them. So whenever I used to have doubts, I would approach my manager or anybody in the team, and I would get help directly from them.
Got it. Yeah, I think Appraised is also free curation of product management resources. I've also seen. Anyway, like you can share to me after the podcast, right? Any links you remember,
Yeah.
and I'll attach all of them in the description. Uh, Got it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the common question that people ask, right? Does one needs to have an MBA to become a product manager, or does one need to have enough technical or a coding knowledge to become a product manager? Like, right? So, what is according to you?
So talking about MBAs, so I believe MBA gives you a lot of things. It teaches you a lot, gives you a lot of experiences that will help you in your life. If but nowadays the thing is that so many business schools out there. Unless you do your MBA from a really good business school, uh, then there's not much value you can derive from it unless it's that. Because doing it from a good school gets you access to a really good crowd because they were filtered. They needed to get there. There was a filtration process for them, and beyond that, companies also good companies come to hire at good business schools. But apart from that, if you just do MBA from any business school out there, it's just credentials on paper for you, but they are not really adding value to you, to your experiences. But when talking about is MBA necessary for product management, I don't think it's necessary for product management. It might make it easier for you to get a role in product management, but it also comes at a cost, which is monetary as well as time cost that you need to pay to get an MBA. But there are alternatives to get into a product management role. So nowadays, like recent months or past year or so, more and more companies have opened up for product management internships, which wasn't the case before. So initially, the role product manager would usually be given to a developer after they've been in a team for a few years and they are ready to like manage the whole product itself. But nowadays people have started taking giving product roles at internship levels as well. And the one of the approaches alternative approaches to get into product management is to like uh, learn online or learn through a program, create a portfolio of yours and try to crack an internship. So if you're able to crack that internship, that helps you start your journey on the path. And whenever, like, if a company is interviewing you for a product role, if it's a good company, like in most cases all the startups, they wouldn't really care if you've done an MBA or not if you're a good candidate. So skills matter more than credentials. But yeah, again, in traditional companies, some of them, they still value degrees more than skills. So you need to make a choice over there. What works for you, what doesn't. But yeah, MBA is not a necessity or not the only way to get into product management. So that's one. The other question about do you need to know how to code to become a product manager? So, uh, traditionally, it was developers who became product managers, but companies started realizing that just knowing how to code or just knowing how your product works doesn't really uh, solve the whole problem that a product manager needs to solve. Because you being so much in touch with your code and not having much access to users, to the business side conversations and discussion, uh, that was a blocker for product managers. And company realized that they need to expand their horizon. They need to get people who are not only into coding but who are into business, who are into user side, or into marketing or growth, things like that. So but at the end of the day, you're working with designers and engineers. So more than you knowing how to code, it is really good to know how coding works or how code works. So rather than knowing what it takes to build an application, you need to know limitations and possibilities of technology. So for example, React is a popular web framework, React Native is a mobile framework. So rather than knowing how React works, you need to get an idea of what is possible in React and what is not. So that is something you can either have by learning on your own, which could be a more difficult process if you're not that much into coding. Or the other alternative is to get in touch with your developer friends or get in touch with your colleagues or developers and start getting these ideas from them.
Got it. I think the first thing, right, MBA that really answers the question, and second, right, you
True.
just need to know the feasibility and also basic understanding so that you can interact with developers, also communicate with them better.
Yeah.
Understood. And the last question I had is like, let's say, do you have any specific advice that you want to give to the product aspirants, let's say freshers who are trying to get into product role, or let's say people who are in some other role and they are trying to transition to a product manager role?
So, first thing would be you need to like spend a bit more time before deciding that you want to switch tracks, before deciding you want to get into product management. A lot of people want to get into product management because of the hype around it, and not because they actually want to do the work of a product manager. So spend some time in understanding what a product manager does. Watch videos of PMs where they talk about their day in the life. If you're able to get in touch with any product manager, try to get some time of theirs. 15 minutes is also fine, just to get an idea of what work do they do. And then like the skills I mentioned before as well, figure out if you actually have these skills naturally in you, that curiosity, that problem solving capability. You're good at communication skills, you're good at people skills. So first you need to figure out whether you actually want to do this or not, whether this is made for you or not. You don't need to be 100% sure, just be sure enough to like take the first step. And secondly, when you're getting trying to get a job or trying to transition into product management, uh, what happens is companies usually get a lot of applicants, but they want to choose the applicant where they have to put the least effort. So if you've never been in a product role, a company, it's most likely that a company might not prefer you over anybody who has any product experience. So how do you overcome this? So getting a full-time role as a product manager could be a bit difficult without the right connections, but getting a internship in product as a product manager uh, is a bit on the easier side. So what is needed for this is for you to understand the fundamentals really well: structured thinking, problem first approach, first principles thinking. Like you understand these core fundamentals well, and you create build a portfolio. So your portfolio shouldn't need not even have more than one product project, more than one product case study, but make sure that the case study is not something that you just derive from a format of a document that you found online. uh, Go deeper into that one case study that you're making. Pick a problem that really stands out for you, that no one is talking about or no one has solved. Then go deeper into that problem and actually figure out at the core, at the first principle, what where it is arriving from, and then think of the solution and create that whole document for a portfolio. Once you have this, the second thing you need to do is, uh, there's a lot of noise in the space right now. There are a lot of hundreds of applications coming from for each job opening, and as an HR don't really read the PRDs before they approve or reject a candidate. They look at the profile only. So if you have good credentials on your resume already, that might make the HR happy. But what I suggested is find different approaches of getting visibility. So don't only contact the HR. Like if you found a job on a portal or LinkedIn, like apply for the job. Find product managers who are working at that company. Find HR that is working at that company. Try to connect with them on LinkedIn. Try to find their email IDs. Directly contact them. So the more communication channels that you choose to contact that company, the higher your chance of getting a response is. So yeah, make sure that you don't only stop at creating a document, but you actually get it to the audience or to the recruiter, and you put in a lot of effort in reaching out to these people. So yeah, once you do that, then the last part is cracking the interviews. So for cracking the interviews, as you need to practice a lot of product case studies. So there's no there are various kinds of questions that you could be asked. So the more you practice, the better. Try to practice different kinds of questions, different kind of scenarios from different industries, and yeah, just keep upgrading yourself.
All right. Yeah. I think the approach, different approach, right? Even I used to tell people like attend offline events, right? So that you can make better connections. And if you make a better connection, you have higher chances to crack a role or get a referral from the person that you met offline.
Yeah.
Too, which most of the people don't do, right? They had messaged them on LinkedIn, but many people might not be active on the online platforms. Got it. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot, Kushal. I think thanks a lot for your time and your detailed explanation. It will be really helpful for the audience. Uh, yeah.
my
Looking
pleasure.
forward to meet you in person in Bangalore sometime. Thank you.
Yes, yes, come to Zoho House.